Hi, this is Brian Neal with TradeToBeFree.com, and today I want to go over some of the trades that we featured in our alert service over the past few weeks and show you what's working and what's not. And once again, it's the housing market and housing related stocks that are working really well right now in the market. And one of the ones we featured recently was MHO, and you may recognize this pattern right here as a flat top breakout because we covered that in a recent blog post. We talked about the flat top breakout and how it's usually used in the context of day trading, but it's also used more infrequently in the context of swing trading. And when swing trading, it's normally referred to as a flat base or box pattern or rectangle pattern. Basically, it's just a flat base where you have a narrow consolidation and then a breakout through the top of the consolidation. And in this case, it's a flag pattern in a flat base, but it's not a high type flag because it doesn't have the requisite uptrend into the flag portion of the pattern. So it's bullish, but not quite as bullish as the most bullish pattern that we trade, which is a high type flag. Over the past few weeks too, we've been talking about how important it is right now to have a new catalyst, not just a real strong uptrend, not just a great stock and a great consolidation pattern, and the price reaching a good technical entry point, but also having a fresh catalyst on top of that. So we have the sort of a long-term catalyst in terms of strong growth in sales and earnings and maybe accelerating growth, okay, or a company that's beating estimates with rising future expectations. So that's a catalyst in and of itself. But right now we want to see a fresh catalyst on top of that. And the ones that have that fresh catalyst as they're breaking out or as they're hitting a good technical entry point in a reversal pattern, such as a 1-2-3 trend change, or if it's breaking out of a flag pattern back to an uptrend support like this stock was back here, it looks like. So not only the good technical entry point, but a good catalyst that's just come out for the stock. And we can see the difference between the two here. With MHO, we see that MHO broke out last week, and it may have broken out a little bit ahead of a catalyst that came out this evening. So after the close of the day here and before the open the next day, there was a catalyst and new news item. You can look at your news within your brokerage platform. You can also look at the news in the watch list that we provide on the site. So in the alert service, we have, if you put the stock in your watch list, we'll have a link to the latest news to see if there's a new news item as the price reaches the entry point. So what we want to see is the price reach that entry point and a catalyst. In this case, we got it the next morning. And if you would have jumped in there, it's, the stock's up 2.5% about since that point, maybe 3%. Then we also had, as our top pick last week, was CNS. And we said that if the stock broke the pre-market high after earnings and we saw a good earnings report, we would jump in on this, and we can see that on the day of the earnings report, which was here, this long candle here, it broke the pre-market high and then moved about 10-12% higher right after that within a few days. Okay, so that's the difference between hitting a good entry point with no catalyst and with a strong catalyst. Okay, so with the catalyst, the new catalyst, and the great technical pattern, the stock reaching the entry point. In this case, it was a secondary move. You had the initial breakout, and then you had the secondary move here above this high. And we said if it goes above the pre-market high and above the 52-week high, that would be the entry point. And we can see the stock made a really nice jump through there. And one of the things you can do when you look at each opportunity in the alert service is you can put that in the watch list with these links down below the chart. And once you look at the watch list, you can click on the chart within the watch list, and you can see the latest chart come up in Stocktwits.com. And in this case, this is a stock that reached a good technical entry point, but didn't have that new catalyst for the company itself. There's a good rotation going on into the housing area of the market, housing sector in the market right now. So that helped to lift this stock as well, along with the rising estimates and the company beating estimates and some growth in sales and earnings. Okay, so that helps. There's no fresh catalyst here though, so you can see how this stock, got off to a decent start, 3-4%, but it didn't really bolt out of the gate, 3, 4, 10% right away. Okay, so that's the difference between getting that new catalyst, that fresh catalyst on a great stock in a great technical pattern near a good entry point, and doing that with a new catalyst on top of that. Okay, so that's what we want to see. And you can see this stock also had that flat top or flat base pattern here, and that's talked about more in the latest blog post. Okay, so that's a couple of examples of what's working right now. And we can also see that ISRG was featured recently, and that also had a catalyst, reached good entry point, made an initial move about 4% higher, it looks like, or 3% higher, let's say. Okay, now this one's coming back. This one's pulling back, pulled back below the technical entry point. And given the long-term trend in the stock, we still think it has a good chance of, say, bouncing off of this 20 EMA here, closing this gap, let's say, and then turning around and going back higher and taking a second leg higher here after earnings. One of the reasons why we say that is because if you look at the long-term chart on Intuitive Surgical, it's been a top growth stock for the past 6 years here on this chart, and then you can see over the past 10 years, you can see the stock went from 80 up to nearly $600. Okay, so it goes through these phases where it consolidates and then it starts to trend, and right now it's making a move towards that high. It may start to trend here in the near future out of this consolidation. Okay, so we've got this move from 550 up to 590, $600 in that range. After it starts its next leg higher here, it's got a good chance of testing the top of this range and then moving higher from there. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, to have that first initial surge higher, we like to see that new catalyst. One way to play this stock too is when you get that initial surge higher, if it goes 4% to 10% higher or more, you can wait till it stops going up and then stop it at your entry point. Again, it's important to get it at the technical entry point when it's passing that point. We want to be within 1 to 2% of that point. And once it goes more than 4% or so above that point, you can stop it above the technical entry point, or I'm sorry, just below the technical entry point. Okay, that's one way to tighten your stop, because this area should offer some support here. So in this case, you could drop a stop, a little bit below this 535 level, or better yet, maybe below 525 if you want to tighten that stop below some of these moving averages, because again, it has a good chance of finding support here at 530, 535, I'd say, at these support levels, and take another leg higher. So that's one way of raising your stop over time if you want to do that. Okay, I just want to mention too that we've got the new InvestToBeFree.com site. The latest makeover has been completed now. It's more mobile friendly, and it's got a new site logo and just has a better look and feel. And we also have a special offer on that too coming up this weekend. So if you thought about joining that service, it has a great long-term track record over the past several years. It's much more straightforward to use than a technical system like this is on TradeToBeFree.com. So the InvestToBeFree.com service is much less time consuming. It only takes 15 minutes per week. Very straightforward, and it's had a great track record over the long term. So if you've been thinking about using that service and wondering when to start, we'll have that special offer here later this week and this weekend, most likely, for you to join at a discount. So